On this episode of St. Louis People on the Move, I'm going to introduce you to Sarah Kelley. Sarah is one of our past clients, and we helped her buy her dream home. Sarah is the co-owner of Union Studio. Union Studio is a locally owned shop that sources goods from over 180 local St. Louis artists and makers. And listen to Sarah as she talks about the benefits of shopping local and how that helps our entire community. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for doing this podcast with us. I'm going to send it out to everyone in the Dawn Griffin Group because we're really excited to have our first annual client event at your space.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. It'll be at our Webster shop this year. So, yeah.
So Webster shop, December 7th in the evening, and everybody will get an Evite invitation, and it'll be in our newsletter. So we're going to start spreading the word. So for anyone who doesn't know you, would you just do a really quick introduction of who you are and what your shop is?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Sarah Kelley, and I am co-owner of Union Studio. We are a shop here in town coming up on our 10-year anniversary, and we sell all local, all handmade goods. So at the moment, we work with over 150 different St. Louis artists, and we really carry everything from handmade soap to fine art. So we have bath and beauty products, pottery, candles, all sorts of things for your home and accessories, but we also sell fine art. So paintings like the ones behind me on the wall.
Wow. Okay. I can remember the first time I shopped there. I can't believe that it was 10 years ago.
Yes, it'll be 10 years in April.
That's crazy. I mean, I even know what I bought. I bought this like gorgeous little cheese set. It was like a cheese dish.
Yeah.
It was so cute. I'm not sure that I was there like when you first opened, but now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, that was a while ago. Okay.
Yeah, so it's flown by.
was it always and now I forget, like right there on Tower Grove Ave, was that your first location?
Yes, so our flagship location was on Tower Grove Avenue, right next to Nixta and Union Loafers on that side of the street. But we opened in Webster in 2020. So we had signed a lease pre-pandemic and still made it happen in the middle of the pandemic. And so, yes, we currently have 2 brick and mortar locations and an online shop now, but it's been quite a journey.
Okay. All right. So do you want to dive? I am just so curious about like business owners and how they start. And so I'd really like to hear kind of the origin story. How did you come up with the idea, and how did you get over like you must have had some fear, right? Like, how did you know you could do this? Like, where did you get the inspiration? And then where did you get like the courage and the persistence to make it happen?
This is a really easy question for me because I actually didn't open the store. My business partner, Mary Beth, did. So the origin story is that Mary Beth has always been a maker and a creative person her whole life. And she wanted to open a workspace where she could sew, and ended up with a space that was bigger than what she needed. And so was kind of toying around with what she should do with the extra room, and then started noticing that there were all of these other makers kind of living these secret lives around. So, you'd find out somebody was like making incredible handmade jewelry in their basement, or they're like, I'm a 3rd generation soap maker. And so it was kind of all of this, there was this undercover sort of creative energy happening around her. And so she just started inviting people to say, hey, could I have some of your items in my space? And so when she first opened, it was mostly her workshop. She had a small retail footprint, and then they also had classes where you could learn, different techniques and processes from the makers themselves. And so fast forward to almost a year in, I've known Mary Beth for almost, I don't even know, over 20 years at this point. And I had just moved home from graduate school and from Boston, where I went to graduate school. And I kind of didn't have a great plan. And so I popped in there one day and said, you know, Mary Beth, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And she said, well, why don't you come work here? And so, fast forward 10 years now, we're co-owners, and it's a very different business now than when I first stepped in. But all of the initial ideas, I feel like she has said in the past, were just this kind of creative impulse that she couldn't shake. For me, I can definitely speak to, the fear and courage side of things, because I had literally no experience in business and literally no experience in arts or making anything or any knowledge about how things were made. And so there was definitely imposter syndrome for a while of just like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to sort of curate. I didn't have any of that kind of built-in skill set. But I think what's been really wonderful about Mary Beth and I working together is just that we just decided really early on that the guiding principle was going to be our own intuition and our own gut and our own feelings. And so it has felt very natural to grow the business, because it's always just been guided by what makes sense to us and not so much exterior principles or even education on these topics, even though it probably would have been helpful at certain points. But yeah, that's kind of how we got to where we were.
That is, that's, it's just such a cool journey. So did you say 150 artists?
Yeah, over
Makers?
150. Yeah.
Okay, and can we talk about like that selection process? Like how do people affiliate with you, or how do you choose the makers that you work with?
Yeah. So right now, the easiest way to connect with us on that front is we have an application on our website, and we review 3 times a year. And Mary Beth and I kind of sit down, we look at all the entries, and then how we decide, there's kind of a short list of criteria that we have, but the short list sort of encompasses a lot. So first of all, we're always looking for quality. The people that shop at our store are literally our neighbors. And so you don't want to sell your neighbors something crappy. So we're always looking for something that's well made, that we feel good about letting people in our community spend money on. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we're always looking for the work to sort of be cohesive in the space. So there's definitely color themes, items that look good together. We try to have this sort of warm, welcoming, cohesive kind of space. And so we're looking for that. And then we also don't want our artists to have to compete with each other in our space. So if somebody, makes beautiful white porcelain mugs, no matter how gorgeous they are, it's an item we probably wouldn't take, because we've had the same maker making beautiful porcelain white mugs for the last 10 years. But something that's really important to Mary Beth and I is sort of access to information about how to do this. There are so many makers in our community trying to get their businesses off the ground. And it has felt at different points that the information about how to do it is difficult to find or behind a paywall. And so this past year, we actually made a guide for artists that we put for free on our website that talks about how to establish retail relationships, what you can expect from the financial side. And then we also really lay out everything that we're looking for in our own shop, so that it doesn't feel like there's just this amorphous being making decisions in the back. So all of that is also for free on our website.
That's awesome. So when does someone contract with you to provide a certain amount
Yeah.
of a
So
specific item, or how does, like, I'm just curious, like, about the nitty gritty, like.
yeah. So we work kind of in three different ways, all of which are sort of common in this kind of maker's retail space. So we do consignment, which basically means the artists own the work until it sells, and then that's when they get paid. That is typically for things like fine art. We're not going to buy all of the paintings that we have in the shop. But we do have other items on consignment, one of a kind things like that. So we have that arrangement. Then we also have wholesale. It's called wholesale, which is basically how any retail shop gets filled. You buy products from a supplier at the rate that they give you, and then you put it in your shop, and then you set your own retail price of what you sell it for. So we do that. And then the third thing that we've done is that bless this business, but it doesn't have fabulous profit margins. And so, as a way to sort of bolster our own bottom line, rather than bringing in commercially produced goods, we decided to actually collaborate with our artists to create our own line of goods. So, we also have items in the shop that are exclusive to Union Studio that we've had a hand in designing with the artist, but then we produce and own those items ourselves.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, d- it was, I don't know what I expected to hear, but it wasn't like three different streams. I don't know. I just think that's so neat. And that probably wasn't like an out of the gate idea, right? Like you grew into that somehow, or was it? I don't know.
Sure, because there's pros and cons to all of the different arrangements. For consignment, it's great for us because we don't have to spend a bunch of money upfront to stock our store. But then you're also at an artist's whim of what they're willing to provide you without guaranteed payment. With wholesale and with the artist collection avenues, those can be more financially lucrative, but you have to have the guts to put the money out up front, and sometimes a lot of money up front. And so over the years, we've kind of ebbed and flowed of like what made the most sense for us to do. Also based on, what's going on around us. During COVID, we did a lot of consignment because artists didn't have a lot of other places to sell. And it was better for us not to take these big financial risks. But then when we release our artist collection this past year, which was the first, big line that we did, it was a big upfront cost for us, but in the end we get to have better profit margins on those products. And so it's always kind of a dialogue about where are we at in the season, where are we at in the retail world, where are we at in our relationships with these artists, what's going on in our personal lives, what's going on in their personal lives. So it's always kind of ebbs and flows.
It just seems like a really big puzzle, that like is
It
constantly
is.
shifting and changing.
Yes.
Um, what what's the is it does the inventory change daily?
I would say it changes daily. Yeah. I think it's pretty rare that we don't have a day that an artist drops off. Some of our artists are making the same product over and over again. If you're making a candle, it's going to have the same scent in the same jar, in the same box. But a lot of our artists also do one of a kind things. So, obviously the visual art, if they're original works, those are going to be one of a kind. But a lot of our ceramicists, our jewelry artists, those people, each time they drop a collection, it looks a little bit different. So,
And seasonality. We're coming up on like, are you getting ready? Is this the big season?
yes. The fourth quarter is always our biggest time of year. We were actually, we have plans for Mary Beth and I to work at night on the, 7th, 8th, and 9th, so that both stores will be set. Not this first weekend, but by the second weekend of November, it will be festive and twinkly and, all of the cozy items and holiday items, all that will be out on the shop floors. So yes, we definitely change seasonally for the holiday season, but Mary Beth and I also are a sucker for florals and spring, and Mother's Day is our second biggest time of year. So there's a big seasonal shift again in the spring. But yeah, we're always trying to have our spaces reflect what's going on, outside. And so, yeah, if you come into the shop in July, it's going to look very different than if you come in December.
So, like any advice to future shoppers as we as we are approaching the holiday season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like shopping local has become like a buzzword, and I think that that's really wonderful, but I don't think that I can overstate the impact of what it means to shop at a store like ours. All of my employees are local, all of my artists are local, my landlords are local, and so every dollar spent in our space really does stay in St. Louis, and helps pay for our team, helps pay for artists' future creative endeavors. And in that second piece, I think that impact also can't be overstated. I really think it's important to have creative people in our communities. But in order for them to be here and to be pursuing their work, they have to be paid. And so I think that shopping at a space like ours, hopefully, is exciting because not to toot my own horn. Well, it's not even my horn I'm tooting because it's all of these other people, but the work in here is beautiful. It's meaningful. It's been made by somebody in your own community, but also the financial side. It can't be overstated how impactful it is to support small businesses this holiday season. So I know that it can be tough in terms of making sure you hit people at their right shop hours. And I know that it can be more expensive, but I do think that the impact is really meaningful.
That's awesome. So you are going to have extended holiday hours?
So we're already open 7 days a week in Webster. So we
Mhm.
can't get any more extended. Um, and then our temporary Tower Grove shop, right now we're just open here Wednesday through Saturday, in this smaller space that we're in. So I don't quite know what we'll do with the holiday hours here yet, but we also have an online shop that's literally open 24/7. It has most of our inventory on it. All of our artists are represented on there. And you can shop online there to ship nationwide, or you can pick up at either of our brick and mortar locations with what you order online. So
Okay, so a little backstory. You worked with our team when you bought your house,
I
and
did.
you had the most wonderful buyer's agent in the whole wide world, Lance
Indeed.
Appleby. We're gonna put a picture of him up. Like,
Hands.
um, how long have you been in your house?
We've lived there for over 5 years now, which is crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the house buying experience?
I it was competitive, which I know like people that are trying to buy a house right now would like tell me to shut up. But it felt pretty intense. We had a couple offers out on houses that we lost, which just
Aw.
like felt so devastating, at the time. And bless Lance, I swear he took me to see well over 100 houses. Like truly he did. And so I it was exciting, but it felt competitive. And I also was like, am I grown up enough to be participating in this? Um, but Lance made the process, Lance is a friend, and I always felt like we were in good hands with him and that he was honest with us about what he thought was worth it and not worth it. And then we got lucky enough that we ended up, I mean, literally in our dream house, forever home kind of
That's
thing.
amazing.
So yeah.
Have you guys done any fun projects?
Yes. The one fun thing we did was we redid our whole backyard. So we got a brand new patio and parking pad and grass and garden beds. My mom is a horticulturalist, and so it's it's been really fun to work with her in the backyard on how to get it all planted. So that's been the fun thing. And then in the non-fun but still happening front, we got a new water line and
Yay.
replaced, and we got rid of some rotting railings. So there's been some general upkeep too, but
Yeah. Well, good. That pays for itself.
yeah.
So I hear you host some epic parties. Do you have any advice for hosting epic parties?
Apparently it's to make your friends compete for things. We have an annual talent show, which there are prizes for, and it's an adult and kids talent show. And then we also have a soup chili cook-off. So, if those parties are considered successful, I would say put a prize in front of your friends and make them work for it. That's what we've done.
Sounds like, I mean, there, great advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for the St. Louis lightning round?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What is your favorite afternoon activity in or around St. Louis?
Ooh, afternoon.
Sorry, I said that wrong. What's your favorite Saturday afternoon, like a weekend activity in or around St. Louis?
Yeah, I think it depends on the weather. If it's a beautiful day outside, you cannot be, having a picnic in Tower Grove Park or hitting up the patio, at the Royale or one of the, Civil Life, one of the breweries. Um, you know, there's a couple good hikes around, so if the weather's nice, there's that front. And then if the weather is not so nice, you could shop at local businesses. I love the art scene here. So, going to CAM or the Pulitzer, St. Louis Art Museum, or even, hitting up the galleries in the Central West End can be nice indoor activities. So,
Do people sometimes treat Union Studio like a gallery? Do you feel like people just come in to soak it in?
yeah, I do think that. And I think what's something unique that we present is most of the furniture in our spaces is actually furniture that you'd find in a home. So there's something about being able to see the art on the wall in a space like ours that can help you sort of envision what it might look like in your house. But yeah, we definitely have people come in that are like, I'm just here to look at the art. And we're lucky that our staff is super knowledgeable about all of the artists, and so they can share with any customers about the piece or about the person who made it. So
Okay. So sorry, I diverted from the lightning round, but where's your
yeah.
favorite place to shop in St. Louis?
I do a lot of bookstore shopping. So if I'm by my house or at the Tower Grove shop, Left Bank Books, or if I'm over in Webster, Novel Neighbor. But I've made it a goal to read 52 books this year. So I've basically been spending all of my money and time on books.
That's awesome. How are you doing? Are you on track?
I'm close. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I've read 39 so far. So I gotta jam some in here in the end. But yeah.
Short ones. You need really short ones.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? What's your favorite book so far this year?
Ooh, you know, I so in order to read 52 books, I've been reading a lot of candy. I call them candy books, stuff that it goes one in ear and out the other. So I've read a lot of like romance novels and a lot of thriller novels. I'm trying to think of something worthwhile I actually read this year. There was a book, it was either called Cleopatra and Frankenstein or Frankenstein and Cleopatra
That sounds
that I
good.
really enjoyed. I don't remember which way it was, but that was actually a non-candy book that I read.
So not a romance?
Yeah, there is relationships in it. Would I call them romances? I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, so we talked about favorite bookstores, favorite lunch spot.
Mm. Union Loafers, bulk and treat box.
Good
Yeah.
choice. If you were planning a creative date night, where would you go?
Ooh, that's a good question. And like our date nights normally consist of like dinner and a movie. Um, a creative date night? I think you could go to the Foundry and, play mini golf and get some local food and then maybe hit up the Alamo. Not only is the Alamo playing, a bunch of, they play the new releases, but they also have like random favorites, that they play. So I don't know, the
I
Foundry.
haven't been there yet. I heard it was really nice.
Yeah, there's something for everybody there, and you can get all of your different food cravings. But yeah, I would maybe play mini golf. I'm always with the competition, and eat and then go see a movie.
And do you have a favorite art fair? A favorite St. Louis art fair?
Yeah, I think it's hard to top Best of Missouri and the Shaw Art Fair.
Mhm.
They combined, there's just so much good work and so much variety from food to, handmade items to visual art. So, and it all happens on the same weekend. And I feel like we're always blessed with great weather that weekend. So, yeah, I would say the combo of those two things.
Yeah, somehow you're right. Like we have always gotten great weather on that
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Um, Sarah, thank you.
Of
Thank you
course.
for playing lightning round, and thank you for opening your doors to our community on December 7th. We
Yes.
cannot wait to see you
Yep.
and shop until our hearts are content.
Yes. No, thanks for working with us on that. It'll be great to have you all.
Thanks. All right, we'll see you then.
Okay. See ya.